Welcome back to the channel where we spill the untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today, things get intense. Princess Anne just made a heartbreaking confession about her parents' marriage that left King Charles in tears. Princess Anne's shocking confession. An insider revealed that King Charles has given Princess Anne an important role for the upcoming anniversary of the late Queen's passing this September. In a private interview, Anne opened up about the unrecorded moments between Queen Elizabeth and King Charles, and her words shocked both Charles and Prince Andrew. "Do you suppose you got it from your dad?" she wondered aloud. "I think it's probably true, since there was always someone there to handle any issues that came up." Anne's comments hinted that the royal couple's marriage wasn't always smooth. She added, "Commercial connections are really different," pointing out that sometimes a peaceful marriage was just a front. They'd go their own ways, only slowly coming back together. For years, fans assumed Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth had the perfect bond, always supporting each other. But near the end of his life, Philip made a move that stunned everyone, leaving the royal family and the public speechless. Prince Philip shocked everyone when he cut ties with the Queen. People are still dissecting the reason. Was it personal, or did it involve someone else? Princess Anne shed light on why Philip lived separately from the Queen, and her explanation has left many jaws on the floor. Queen Elizabeth meets Prince Philip. Their story started with what seemed like a small, almost casual encounter. Princess Elizabeth was just 8 years old when she first met the young Prince Philip at a royal wedding in 1934. Philip, a young Greek prince, had a turbulent childhood. His family fled Greece due to political unrest, and he was born in 1921 on the island of Corfu. Growing up across multiple countries shaped him into a strong, independent man. While that initial meeting didn't seem monumental, everything shifted in 1939. Philip was preparing to train as a naval officer at the Royal Naval College in Dartmouth, and Elizabeth's family went to see him. But a sudden outbreak of illness forced the schedule to change, setting off a chain of events that would alter the course of royal history forever. Elizabeth and her sister Margaret skipped church that day. Instead, they spent time with Philip, who had been tasked with keeping them entertained. And he didn't disappoint. Philip showed off by jumping over tennis nets and playing croquet, clearly enjoying every moment. Elizabeth was instantly captivated, and she later admitted that from that day on, she couldn't think about anyone else. Philip joined the Royal Navy as World War II began, travelling far from his home. Despite the distance, he and Elizabeth kept their bond alive through letters, growing closer even through challenges. Elizabeth even kept a photograph of Philip in her room, a secret sign of how much she cared. When Philip returned from the war in 1946, their connection deepened even more. During a summer visit to Balmoral Castle in Scotland, he confessed, "To have fallen in love completely and without reservation makes all of one's problems seem small." His words proved just how serious he was about her. Later that summer, Philip formally asked King George for permission to marry Princess Elizabeth, setting the stage for one of the most legendary royal love stories. The monarch gave his blessing, but only with a catch. The engagement announcement had to wait until Elizabeth's 21st birthday in April of the next year. Philip agreed and started making major changes in his life. In March 1947, he renounced his Greek and Danish royal titles and became a British citizen, taking the surname Mountbatten from his mother's family. When their engagement was officially announced on July 9, 1947, the news sparked huge debate. Many doubted Philip. He wasn't wealthy, he was born outside the UK, and some of his sisters had married German aristocrats, with whispers about Nazi connections. Even some of the king's advisors questioned whether he was suitable to marry Elizabeth. Marion Crawford, a royal governess, described him as a prince without a home or clear purpose. At first, Elizabeth's mother wasn't impressed either and even teased him by calling him the Hun. But over time, her opinion shifted, and she eventually praised him as a true English gentleman, proving that first impressions can be deceiving. Despite all the doubts, the wedding went ahead, and it was nothing short of historic. Philip and Elizabeth tied the knot at Westminster Abbey in a grand ceremony broadcast on BBC Radio to an astonishing 200 million listeners worldwide. Philip's German relatives, including his sisters, were left out due to the tensions from the recent war. After the ceremony, the newlyweds moved into Clarence House and began adjusting to royal life. But it wasn't all fairy tale perfection. At first, their days looked surprisingly normal for royals. Philip continued his navy career, pushing hard to rise through the ranks, while Elizabeth balanced her royal duties with her new role as a mother and wife. Their first child, Prince Charles, was born in 1948, followed by Princess Anne in 1950, marking the start of a new chapter in the royal family. While Philip was on assignment, the couple spent some time living in Malta, and for a brief moment, they felt free. Elizabeth joined him, and they got a taste of normal life, enjoying each other's company while their kids stayed back in England. But that calm didn't last long. King George, Elizabeth's father, passed away suddenly in 1952. Overnight, Elizabeth's life changed forever. At just 25, she became Queen Elizabeth II, and Philip's role transformed dramatically when he turned 30. No longer just a navy officer, he became a royal consort, forced to step back from the life of command he loved and fully support his wife as queen. Philip, proud and full of energy, was used to leading battleships and making decisions. But now, society expected him to walk slightly behind his wife in public, a change that was as symbolic as it was challenging in the 1950s. The adjustment wasn't easy at all. Moving from Clarence House to Buckingham Palace marked a fresh start, but it also brought a ton of new challenges. Philip's role wasn't clearly defined, and whenever he asked for guidance, no one gave him straight answers. Confusion quickly set in. One of the earliest issues? The last name of their children. Philip's surname was Mountbatten, and his uncle suggested that the royal family should adopt the House of Mountbatten. But powerful figures like Queen Mary and Prime Minister Winston Churchill strongly opposed it, insisting the House of Windsor remain as a tribute to Elizabeth's father. Philip openly shared his frustration, saying he felt like a mere amoeba, a man who couldn't even give his name to his own children. By 1960, Elizabeth made a bold move for peace. She decided their children would carry the name Mountbatten Windsor, blending both family lines. It was a small but meaningful gesture, ensuring Philip's legacy would be remembered in the royal lineage. After Elizabeth became queen, she made a bold announcement that shocked many. She declared that Prince Philip would always stand behind her at public events and official meetings, unless the law said otherwise. This wasn't just about tradition, it was her way of showing that Philip wasn't just her husband. He was the one she trusted most to keep her grounded and accountable. She also promised that if she passed away while their son Charles was still young, Philip would act as regent, running the kingdom until Charles was ready to take the throne. In 1953, Parliament even passed legislation to make this plan official. For years, people speculated that their marriage faced challenges. Being queen was no easy job, and their lives were under constant scrutiny. Yet those closest to them often said Elizabeth and Philip had a solid bond. Despite difficulties, they remained deeply connected. In 2012, at her Diamond Jubilee celebrating 60 years on the throne, Elizabeth publicly called Philip her steadfast source of strength and advice. It was a rare, powerful glimpse into their private devotion, showing the world the foundation of their enduring partnership. Since 1990, Parliament has given Philip a yearly allowance to help him handle his royal duties. This money covered all the essentials for his work: travel, events, and supporting people. Even when the Sovereign Grant Act of 2011 updated royal finances, Philip's allowance stayed the same. Any leftover funds, if not used for official duties, could be taxed as regular income, but in reality, almost all of it went straight into his work. Philip was never just someone trailing behind the Queen. He worked tirelessly, travelled extensively, and championed countless causes. But even this strong partnership had fiery moments. One of their most infamous public arguments happened during a 1954 royal visit to Australia. Philip stormed out of a cabin in a furious rage. Elizabeth, equally heated, chased him outside and demanded he return, throwing a pair of tennis shoes and a tennis racket at him in full view of a film crew. The entire explosive scene was captured on camera, shocking everyone who saw it. Richard Coville, the royal press secretary, quickly stepped in and ordered the video destroyed before it could reach the public. After the chaos, Elizabeth addressed the crowd, saying, "I apologise for that brief interruption. But as you know, these things happen in every marriage." This rare, honest moment showed that even the Queen faces struggles in her married life. And it wasn't an isolated incident. Their marriage was strong, but like any couple, they had their fights, especially in private. Philip was known for being blunt and sometimes harsh. He didn't sugarcoat anything. Royal historian Sarah Bradford notes that Philip occasionally called Elizabeth a bloody fool, or told her she was saying something stupid, yet Elizabeth wasn't one to back down. She had quick, sharp comebacks, often saying things like, "Oh, Philip, do be quiet," or "You don't understand the subject." Their exchanges were fiery, but showed a partnership where both were strong, smart, and unafraid to speak their minds. Friends of the couple said they argued a lot, but that was just their way of working through issues. Royal journalist James Whittaker described their fights as fervent clashes, remembering moments when Elizabeth firmly told Philip to stay quiet. It might sound intense, but it proved their marriage was real. They disagreed, argued, and didn't always see eye to eye. Still, through every challenge, they stayed together. Philip's bluntness sometimes caused problems even in public. On a 1976 trip to the United States, author Susan Croslin recalled Elizabeth firmly telling him to stop yelling, saying "silence" with unmistakable authority. Philip also made other controversial comments, like joking at a noisy gathering to deaf teens, "No wonder you are deaf," and poking fun at a blind cadet over his tie. Their fiery interactions showed a couple unafraid to speak their minds, even if it ruffled feathers. Elizabeth often had to handle the fallout calmly, enduring endless speculation and whispers. One of the most talked about royal mysteries involves Prince Philip and the women he was rumoured to have been linked with. But how much of it was real? Let's break it down. First up is Pat Kirkwood, a famous British actress and dancer in the 1930s and 1940s. She was celebrated for her beauty and talent, especially her legs, which one critic called the eighth wonder of the world. Philip reportedly visited her backstage in London in 1948, while Elizabeth was 8 months pregnant with Prince Charles. Naturally, this caused a stir. There were 7 reported sightings of the two together, and one story even claimed they danced until dawn. The press quickly labelled them the Prince and the Showgirl. Despite the frenzy, Pat always insisted there was no romantic connection. She passed away in 2007, still bitter that neither Philip nor the palace had defended her, leaving a cloud of mystery around the scandal that captured public attention for years. Pat also insisted that letters between her and her friend Michael Thornton proved their connection was completely platonic. She even joked that her life would have been a lot easier if Philip had just gone home that night. Then there's the Russian dancer Galina Ulanova, who was 16 years older than Queen Elizabeth. Before Philip's 1956 Commonwealth tour, Elizabeth discovered a photograph of Galina in his luggage and later saw her perform in Lassell Feeds, which naturally made her suspicious. Now let's talk about Penny Natchable, also known as Lady Mountbatten. She met Philip in the 1970s and got closer to him through carriage driving. The Crown hints they may have shared more than just casual friendship, with long conversations and even moments of physical contact. Penny was one of the few allowed to attend Philip's burial in 2021, showing how significant their bond was. Not everyone accepted these stories. Dickie Arbiter, the Queen's former press secretary, called the TV movie about it a cruel absurdity, especially since it aired after Elizabeth's death. He suggested Philip might have watched, but never participated. Penny herself has never claimed that anything romantic ever happened. So what keeps these rumours alive? Before marrying Elizabeth, Philip was tall, handsome, and famously charming, a known womanizer. Life as the Queen's consort wasn't always easy. He had to leave his Navy career behind and often felt sidelined, which may have made him a target for gossip. The press in the 1950s and 1960s loved a scandal. Rumours swirled that Philip was secretly engaged to some mysterious woman in a West End flat. French publications even reported on it, and things got so intense that Buckingham Palace had to release a statement assuring the public that there was no rift between the Queen and the Duke. Philip himself addressed the rumours with sharp wit. He once said, "Good God, woman, have you ever thought about the fact that I have never travelled without a police officer by my side for years? How could I possibly avoid the consequences?" His team backed him up, pointing out that the police had been protecting him since 1947. Even in the face of scandal, Philip handled it with humour and a touch of swagger. Royal expert Ingrid Seard noted that as Charles got older, he became more cautious around women in public, probably because he knew the media was always watching. In May 2017, at the age of 96, Prince Philip made a major announcement about embracing a peaceful life and long-lasting love. He was stepping back from public life. After more than 70 years of serving the royal family, the Duke of Edinburgh was ready to leave the chaos behind. His final official duty was meeting with the Royal Marines. After that, he moved out of Buckingham Palace and into Wood Farm, a quiet, peaceful retreat on the Sandringham estate. Meanwhile, Queen Elizabeth stayed in London, continuing her royal responsibilities. The news that the royal couple would live apart after decades together shocked the nation. People everywhere began wondering, had their relationship really changed after all these years, or was this just a practical decision? The announcement stirred curiosity and speculation across the globe. Did they have a fight? Rumours and speculation ran wild, with people guessing at hidden secrets. But the truth was much simpler and very human. Princess Anne, King Charles, and Prince Andrew's children say it all came down to reality. Princess Anne, often seen as the most like her father in personality, explained it perfectly. She said that both Philip and Elizabeth had clear-eyed, realistic views on life with strong work ethics and quick wits. After decades of public service, Philip simply wanted peace, time to enjoy life on his own terms. Wood Farm offered exactly that: tranquility, nature, and a slower pace away from the constant spotlight. The cottage itself carries a unique history. It was once home to Prince John, King George's youngest son, who lived there due to illness. Later, it became Philip's personal retreat, a place to relax, pursue his hobbies, and truly unwind. Even back in 2011, when he was 90, Philip declared he just wanted to have fun and enjoy life, showing that his desire for peace wasn't sudden. It was a lifelong wish finally realised. The Queen understood this perfectly. She knew how much Philip had sacrificed for her over the years, giving up his naval career and quietly supporting her through decades of royal duties. She fully supported his decision to step back and enjoy a calmer life. At Wood Farm, Philip created a peaceful daily routine. He spent hours driving carriages, a hobby he picked up after giving up polo due to arthritis. He also loved painting with watercolours, reading history books, and having long, meaningful conversations with close friends and guests. Though he enjoyed his alone time, he wasn't truly isolated. Philip saw family and friends often and stayed in regular contact with the Queen, calling her daily to share updates about their lives. Of course, his later years weren't without trouble. In 2019, his Land Rover flipped over in a car accident near Sandringham. Thankfully, he escaped serious injury, though he decided to give up his driver's license afterward. Even in quieter years, life kept throwing challenges his way. Philip also faced the heartbreak of losing several close friends and long-time staff members, including his valet of 40 years. As he aged, struggles with short-term memory made his final years even more poignant. Yet through it all, he displayed remarkable strength and determination. He still attended major events, like the weddings of Prince Harry and Princess Eugenie in 2018, proving his loyalty to Elizabeth remained unwavering. Even living apart, their unusual arrangement highlighted just how close they were, two people who had been friends for decades, fully aware of and attentive to each other's needs. Then came the global COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, impacting everyone, even royalty. Philip and Elizabeth had to navigate this unprecedented situation, showing that no matter your status, life's challenges spare no one. During the global lockdown, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip made the unusual decision to stay alone at Windsor Castle. Palace officials called their private security setup the HMS Bubble, meaning Philip stayed connected to the Royal Navy and the tight-knit team that kept the couple safe throughout the lockdown. Finally, they could enjoy life together again, away from royal duties, public eyes, and the constant buzz of London. While isolated, they stayed in touch with family through Zoom calls, learning new ways to connect just like millions of others around the world. Both in their 90s, their love and reign were defined by determination and flexibility. For Philip, this peaceful period offered a chance to return to simple joys, reading, reflecting, and enjoying quiet moments with his wife. Philip made his final public appearance in July 2020 when he officially stepped down from one of his key military roles, marking the end of an era for the Duke of Edinburgh. Prince Charles gave Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, the rank of Colonel and Chief of the Rifles at a small ceremony at Windsor Castle. At 99, Philip rose in an immaculate jacket, smiling warmly and showing his lifelong dedication to the military and his impressive service. Later, he and the Queen received their COVID-19 vaccinations in January 2021, demonstrating support for the national effort and setting a strong example for the British people. Philip's health, however, was gradually declining. Despite appearing composed, he had to visit King Edward VII Hospital in London in February for treatment of an infection. His condition worsened, and he required cardiac care at St Bartholomew's Hospital for a pre-existing heart condition. After a month-long stay, he was released in March and returned to Windsor, continuing to face his health struggles with the same quiet determination he had always shown. Philip was physically frail, but mentally sharp until the very end. As his 100th birthday approached, he didn't show much interest in grand celebrations. Friends and family later revealed that he disliked being in the spotlight, preferring a quiet, peaceful life without unnecessary attention. In his later years, he finally got the calm he had always wanted. For Philip, responsibility, dignity, and living a meaningful life always mattered more than small rules or ceremonies. On April 9th, 2021, Prince Philip passed away peacefully at Windsor Castle, just 2 months shy of his 100th birthday. Queen Elizabeth stood faithfully by his side after more than 73 years of marriage. Buckingham Palace issued a brief, respectful statement confirming his peaceful passing. Privately, the Queen told her closest advisors that his death left a huge void in her life, revealing the deep personal grief behind the public mourning. Philip's funeral was held at St George's Chapel in Windsor, but due to COVID-19 restrictions, only 30 people were allowed to attend. The gathering was tiny but deeply personal, full of those closest to him. Queen Elizabeth sat alone, her expression a mix of sorrow and strength, showing the depth of her grief. The Duke's coffin was placed in the royal vault beneath the chapel, near King George III. Plans were made for him to be buried next to the Queen when she passed in 2022. Princess Anne captured Philip perfectly, calling her father her teacher, supporter, and judge. In just a few words, she highlighted the essence of his character, not just for her, but for the whole family. She said he treated everyone with care, whether a world leader or a royal gardener. Anne praised her father's unwavering loyalty to Queen Elizabeth, noting he stood faithfully by her side throughout her long reign. King Charles, Philip's eldest son, also expressed deep respect, speaking of his father's dedication to the Queen and their family across the Commonwealth. Prince Andrew was amazed by Philip's endless energy, which helped him tackle decades of royal duties, public events, and military service. Even in his 90s, Philip remained strong, engaged, and active. Andrew shared a personal story showing that Philip always cherished time with his family. He remembered his father not just as a remarkable figure, but as someone who laughed, shared untold stories, and genuinely cared for the people around him. These reflections reveal that beneath the layers of tradition and formality was a man with deep principles, strong morals, and unwavering beliefs. If this deep dive into Prince Philip's life gave you chills, made you smile, or surprised you, do us a favor, hit that like button. Share this video with your friends who love royal stories, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold royal secrets and jaw-dropping moments from the palace. Drop your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. We want to hear them all.